Welcome back to another episode of As the Rabbit Descends Down the Hole. We have come to the last chapter in this saga of Esau and Jacob. He stole the blessing. Jacob stole the blessing. And we saw the next day of the emotions. Where do we go from here? Well, there's actually a lot. We're going to get a lot in on this chapter. I know the last one might have seemed kind of short, but we're going to get a lot in on this one. You know? Anyway, Esau wakes up in the morning and goes by his brother's tent. It's empty. Jacob's left. He's fled. He's scared. Rebecca's all running around. Oh, what are we going to... Yeah. Well, he can take care of himself, right? Well, in any case, Esau's not too worried about any of this. And so, okay. He's running, he's scared. Oh, well, things happen. Esau climbed up in the valley. He's kind of just looking below. This is the area where he hunts and things like that. I think he's wondering where does his brother think he's going to go, In any case, and the inside, he's a changed man, because of what happened to him. And he starts to have some, happy thoughts in the sense of there was good times. It wasn't like it was all bad times, but, and whatnot. But, he asked himself, how did we get here, So he goes and talks to his dad. He goes and talks to Isaac. And, he has to kind of have like a one-on-one for a minute. Isaac tells him, hey, you're strong, you're wise, you're gonna be okay. Well, yeah, it'll be okay, but you're you got one on me. But in any case, think about it. I guess you gotta make the best out of it, right? Esau wasn't going to chase his brother. Like I said, he's going to play the long game. He's not going to chase him down. He's not going to look for him. Whatever, dude. And so he goes off and he just kind of goes on with his life. And he meets a lady. Her name is Judith, And it's not... He just kind of went on. I guess you could say, Judas wasn't the prototype of what they really wanted, but what does it matter at this point, who cares? I'm going to do what I'm going to do now. She might be the prototype of what you guys want, but she works for me, so whatever. And it kind of sent a message in a sense that, well, if I'm not part of this family's plan, I'm going to create my own family plan. That's just kind of where he is right now, And he did. He was doing fine, and he's going to build on his own. That's kind of where his thought process is. He had this loss, he had these other things, and I don't know if it's necessarily pride to show that he can do this or do that. I think it was just more like, hey, I'm just going to go on and do what I'm going to do. And he actually became quite successful in the sense of that, with his marriage and things like that. It's almost like he created his own little nation within himself, with his own little tribe, He wasn't necessarily searching for this loss of blessing or with Jacob or anything. There was a rift there. They didn't really talk, and and there's wisdom in that. There's something to be learned from with Esau with that. Of just, he just went forward. No, he might not have been part of the history book lexicon or anything like that, but he went forward. He lived his own life. He was successful. He had this little tribal nation within his own family. He became strong. He was wiser. There was a lot of respect for him. his influence grew as his children, they got older and things like this, and they settled in this land of Sire. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And it kind of matched with him. It's like kind of like a rugged type area, but it was he tamed it and he made it his own, and they called it Edom. Actually, it was almost like a nickname of sorts for Esau. Look, I don't need that blessing. Well, and I understand that was God's blessing. It was God's blessing from Isaac to Jacob. You know what? And it's not he's not saying that he doesn't need God, but what he's saying is, I can I can do I can create too. You know, it's not going to be that bad. You know, the idea of, well, he will always make it. Yeah, he did. You know, I mean, I've never been a fan of why Jacob is the patriarch. Never been a fan of that. He was deceptive. He was this lowbrow, low IQ type of guy. You know, he. I guess you could say he had a level of street smarts about him, that he could manipulate people and things like that. But I mean, how is that godly? I mean, it's not. Esau is far more. You know, just because he doesn't fall into the line of the blessing doesn't mean that there wasn't a blessing on him. There wasn't an anointing on him. It just didn't go in the path, of who comes next. I mean, who comes next with Jacob is Joseph. I mean, that's power right there. It's almost like he's a blend of he has more Esau in him. He kind of takes more of his characters. It's really kind of interesting when you kind of look at that. It's almost as if a right is being wrong through Jacob's son with Joseph of what was wrong with Esau. It's quite interesting. And we're going to get into that, because there's characteristics within Esau. I mean, he was loyal. He had courage. He had a level of generosity about him. And believe it or not, even with all this, he never actually went after Jacob. He kind of, I mean, there was a sense that he was going to play a long game with him, but it's almost like he forgave him to an extent, and he provided this stability. And I think he gave him this forgiveness because he just was able to move on with his own stuff. His own stuff became more important. So, as time moved on and everything moved on, his sons they became actually quite powerful within themselves. I mean, Esau gets looked over, and he shouldn't be, because there's a lot with him, I mean, he was the one that was betrayed, but yet he was successful. He was the one that was thrown out, and yet he became, I mean, he was very prominent, and that's something that, honestly, people need to look at more, and they don't. For some reason, like I said, they focus on Jacob, the wrestling with God, and all this other stuff. And we could get into all these things, but he wrestled with God. Oh, yippee-yi-yay, he fought an angel. He thinks he's so good. He manipulated that too. I mean, the guy just would not stop. And I'm glad that when Joseph comes along and rights some wrongs with all of this, and the character of Esau comes back. That's where we will pick up in our next season. I hope to see you then. Thanks for tuning in.